for what's right. Fight for your life. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta lend a hand, it don't help to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. Gotta take a stand, no, I can't let it slide. I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life. I stand strong about right and wrong, and I don't take trouble for very long. I got something deep inside of me. Courage is a thing that keeps us free. I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life. I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
All right, everyone. That was Rick Derringer with All American on WQPT 7 Radio 101. I don't know. Welcome, everyone, to the Notre Dame Football Power Hour. I'm ND Sean 45, joined by Ryan, Week Zero Productions. How are you doing, bud?
Doing pretty well. Wish I could say I felt better if Notre Dame would have won, but
I think that's everybody, dude. So what more is there to say? Ben and I got the show started after the shit fest. So I obviously made myself personally. I made myself very clear in the video that I did on Saturday night right after the game, which is probably what helped shoot us over 500 subscribers. And I asked Ben the same question in our preview for UNLV this week. Do you think anger and F-bombs sell amongst people, amongst viewers?
If they didn't, I would say that Pat McAfee wouldn't be as popular as he is.
That's true. But it's like I told everybody, look, we've never made ourselves out to be like a family channel. This is a fan channel. This is a two guys shooting the breeze YouTube channel about Notre Dame football. So if you hear the occasional F-bomb, don't be shocked. Don't act like you have virgin ears.
That's exactly how our podcast is. I mean, we drop F-bombs all the time, and we make a joke all the time when somebody says something like that. We're like, oh, man, we're going to get demonetized. It's like, who cares, man? Not doing it for the money. We're doing it because we like talking crap about football.
Well, being able to make money off of this, that would be great if we were ever able to do it, but I'm not going to expect it or whatnot. So anyway, let's just jump right into it. Ryan, what are your thoughts after last week's debacle against Stanford?
Well, first things first, Tommy Rees needs to be fired. I'm sorry. I know that he's a guy that the players love, and the players wanted to still be on the staff from last year's team. But he's been on the staff for 3 years, has shown little to no improvement in the offense. Notre Dame has never had a top 25 offense under Tommy Rees with the talent we did have. He doesn't. And he's one of those people where like he thinks he's this genius and he's a smart coach and he's smarter than everybody else. And so you see it in his play calling. You've seen it on the jet sweep on 4th and 2 near the goal line against Stanford. He thinks he's so smart that he'll go out there and notice that Stanford is ready for the jet sweep and then go say, I'll run it anyway. I mean, and it came out the other day that Marcus Freeman this week brought up to Tommy Rees because they don't have an offensive analyst, which helps them make decisions like on 4th down or anything like that. Just kind of a guy for Tommy to talk to.
Yeah.
And Marcus Freeman suggested, hey, what do you think about hiring David Cutcliffe as your offensive analyst? To help you make offensive decisions on 4th down so that we get the right play in. Tommy said, no, I'm good.
No, I'd be like, no, Tommy, you're not good.
That's what I would say.
You had really, if you were good, then you wouldn't have taken 2 steps back when you took a step forward after 2 pretty solid games of play calling. Okay, and then you go right back to the same crap that wasn't working. So,
and it shows you how much of a what is that called when you're how full of himself he is that he thinks he got everything handled and knows everything. David Cutcliffe, he was let go as the head coach at Duke, but he made Duke relevant, at least in football. He's the guy that developed Daniel Jones. He's the guy that developed Peyton Manning. He's the reason those guys became what they were as quarterbacks. So
you beat me to the punch on David Cutcliffe because back in the day when Charlie Weiss was first hired, he actually hired David Cutcliffe to be their quarterbacks coach. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Charlie Weiss was going to bring in David Cutcliffe with him, but Cutcliffe ended up, I think, at that time going to maybe Duke, maybe somewhere else. But all I know is he opted out of it to go somewhere else. But
he's a very smart guy. He's a very good, smart offensive mind, and and the thing was the key word in that whole part that came out this week was Marcus Freeman suggested to Tommy Rees. There is no suggesting. I'm the head coach. I'm going to be the one fired in a couple years if we don't get this shit show turned around. I'm telling you that we're hiring him as our offensive analyst, and he's going to overlook you.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
As far as in the world of coaching, Tommy is a young buck. So when you're a young buck, it's best that you learn from the older guys who've been around for a while. And that's exactly where David Cutcliffe fits into. And by the way, what's up, Dwayne? Haven't seen you on here in a while. It's great to see you.
I think that Marcus is a little too. I think he's scared to hurt people's feelings because I think that him and Tommy are really close. They were coordinators together for a year. I think that that's what's. I don't know. It just to me, you can't be like that as a head coach. You can have friends that are coaches, but if they're not getting the job done, it falls on you. Someone's got to go. Someone has to go.
Here's the best example I can use to describe that. Have you ever seen the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt?
Mm-hmm.
Think of that scene when he is teaching Peter Brand how to fire people. And Brand's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm not gonna have to fire anybody. And he goes, well, you're gonna have to. And this is the approach that he needs to have. The part when Brad Pitt says, as Billy Bean, I should say, when he says, "Hey, I can't form relationships with these guys. I may have to cut them, send them down. And what's better, to take 1 bullet to the head or take 5 bullets to the chest and bleed out?" That's the approach I think you have to go into. You can't. I'm not saying that you can't be friends, but when you're in a situation where you might have to let somebody go, you need to change your perspective a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another thing too. And Ben and I have mentioned this many times on our show. Notre Dame in general, not just the head coaches, but this is like a trickle down effect. They need to stop they need to stop hiring their friends. And what we mean by that is, even though the coaches and these coordinators, they may not necessarily be friends, but the university needs to quit thinking that they owe this coach something and can't fire him because he's a former player. He was a former player there.
Well, you know what? I don't blame Freeman for the offensive issues because, for one, Freeman's specialty is defense.
Yes.
And we knew going into this that Freeman was going to rely on his coordinators to do their effing job.
Yep.
Which a coach should be able to do. A coach should be able to rely on his offensive coordinator to know what the hell they're doing and make good decisions. I think the main issue is that I honestly think Notre Dame would have been better off letting Tommy go with Brian Kelly to LSU. I know that at the time people were like, "Oh, we're scrambling, trying to keep everybody we can," but I look at that and I think when you bring in a new head coach and it's a first-time head coach, and Freeman's young, he's been around a few times, he's been around at Cincinnati, he's been around winning, he knows what it takes to win. Why not let Freeman go out there and hire an offensive coordinator he wants? That's usually what coaches do when they go to a new school, is they get to bring in all their guys. Keep Matt Balis. That's fine. Matt Balis is a really good guy. He's really good at developing strength in our players. But I mean, other than that, Freeman brought in Al Golden. Freeman brought in Dylan McCullough. He brought in Chancey Stuckey, our wide receiver coach, who's helping us get the top tier talent at wide receiver and recruiting.
Yeah.
Look at how those guys have turned out. Al Golden was a terrible head coach. He's got our defense playing pretty well. I mean, there have been, mess ups in coverage, but that's because we have a young defense. But I'm saying all of Freeman's hires have been home runs so far, or close to home runs.
I wanted to comment real quick on Al Golden and the defense. I mean, the defense, as you said, they've looked terrible at certain times. I mean, they looked terrible last week against Stanford. But I will say this, though. If we were to only give up 16 points every game and the offense do its job, I'm fine with that.
We haven't gave up more than 20 points more than once this season.
Yeah.
With Ohio State on the schedule. So
And I guess sometimes it looks really bad when it's a bend but not break defense. Because I've seen our guys getting burned, our defensive backs getting burned, and then I think of against BYU that 3rd and 17 that they get a first down on a freaking draw play. So you think of things like that and you think, man, that's it's an overall terrible defense. It's really not when you actually break it down.
If you deep dive into the numbers, Notre Dame has a top 10 defense in college football right now, just based on statistics alone. I don't know, man. I hope that if Tommy doesn't get it figured out this year, I think they'll give him till the end of the year, because I don't think they'll just fire him halfway through the year. With
the playoffs and now the NY6 chances being gone, you're not going to fire a guy now. I mean, yeah, it just wouldn't make sense to. But
I do like the fact that Freeman in his interview Monday was asked about Reese, and he said, "I'm not." They asked him, "What do you think the issue is with Reese in the offense?" And he said, "Quote, I honestly don't know." He said, I don't know if it's something in practice, the play calling." He said, "But going forward, I'm going to start being more involved in the offensive meetings and start kind of looking over what Tommy's doing," which I think is the right call.
I can tell you a couple problems, and I know we've in particular my video that I made after the game on Saturday, people saying, making the typical armchair coach comments and whatnot. Well, you don't need to be a coach to see what's working and what's not working. But two things that I've noticed that need changing is, one, the play calling, which we all obviously know about, and two, why are you not? Again, this is a broken record, but why are you not playing guys like Tobias Merriweather? Why are
First two
you?
plays, his first two plays. The first one should have been a 50-yard touchdown catch if Pine doesn't overthrow him. The second one was on point, and it was a 40-yard touchdown catch.
Yes. So why is he not in the game? Also, why did until late in the third quarter, when he finally started getting in there, why were you not playing Audric Estime? Unless there's some injury that I missed, but I'm pretty sure he was healthy. So why
I've
is he not?
been
Why
saying
is he
that.
not in there? Why is he
And
not in there for the first half? Yeah, pretty much the first
evidently,
half of the game.
Reese's excuse for that was, well, Logan Diggs and Tyree had a good game against BYU, so we wanted to continue with the hot hand.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Quit trying to be cute and go into something else. Keep keep Estime in there. Keep doing what you had been doing that was working.
And with your wide receiver issues right now, wouldn't it be better off, instead of using Tyree as a running back, having him out on a slot, like be a slot receiver? I mean, I
You
just
can do
think
it.
exactly. You have Diggs and Estime, who are two really solid backs. I think Estime's the better back, but I'm saying, why can't you? You can have a two running back system. That's completely fine. Notre Dame has done that in the past.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I don't understand. You're having wide receiver issues. Put Tyree in the slot. You can't tell me he can be any better or any worse than what Salerno is when he's out there. Um, and run Estime. He's a big kid. He's going to tire that defense even if he gets 2-yard runs. Run him. When he gets tired, then you can put Diggs in.
And you know what? I don't blame Audric Estime for that
the
loss
fumble,
last week.
no.
I don't say that he was the cause of that loss. See,
And I've seen some fans say that was his fault. Well, you got to understand, when you play running back or wide receiver and you're not in a majority of the game, and fumbles happen more likely when you're not in the process of getting hit over and over again. That's what happens. So I don't know, but go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, the bottom line with that is, if we had been running our offense efficiently and then later in the game Diggs fumbled, who cares? Because we likely would have been up by a bunch at that point. So no, it's not his fault why we lost that game.
And it wasn't even like, if you watch the fumble, it wasn't really Estime's fault. That was just a really good defensive play from that's what was it? The Stanford safety who was all over the field the entire game. The guy that did the wave at the end of the game.
Yeah,
Like,
that punk ass.
yeah, he like, if you go back and watch that replay, Estime had a big run up the middle, and the safety just came down and hit him right on the ball. So it wasn't really more Estime's fault as it was just a great defensive play, which you got to give props to the kid. But
and you know what? Ironically enough, that never should have been a fumble. It should have been not enough evidence to overturn the call.
Oh, the one with Tanner McKee where he was down, like the one where he was down.
Wait, was that? I thought. Oh, never mind. Estime was clearly out, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was. He was in the.
Okay,
he was in error.
I'm thinking of the wrong play. My bad.
The refs were
Never
terrible,
mind.
though. I mean, I always hate being that fan that says, ref ball, cost us to lose this game. But, because obviously, even if the refs were that bad, if Notre Dame plays Notre Dame football, it wouldn't have mattered. But the fact that we played so bad that a few bad calls cost us the game tells you how bad Notre Dame actually played. But yeah, that was a terrible call. I thought the refs were pretty all game with calls, like very wishy-washy.
We put it right in their hands to do that, so we still killed ourselves.
I still don't understand. So, because you're older than me, I'm not too 100% on how the refs work, but I know it was a Pac-12 crew.
Yeah.
I thought when you had refs for games that it was split between the middle. That way you don't have any one-sided calls. Like, I thought they were supposed to have 2 Pac-12 and 2 ACC officials.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they do that for the postseason, but no, it's always one So
Okay.
it's always one conference's refs, which I think, I'm surprised. I've never heard anybody talk about this before. It's so damn stupid. Why are there refs for each conference? That always seems like that has always been a conflict of interest to me. Why not just have NCAA refs, not for
That's
each
what I
conference?
don't understand.
Do you think there won't be a time where those refs actually make a call that they know is crap, but benefits the conference that they come out of?
Mm-hmm.
It's so stupid. I mean, I don't know. There shouldn't be referees from certain conferences, just from the NCAA.
It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
No. And also, while it's on the top of my mind, one thing that I wanted to touch on is, and I've seen this all across, pages and message boards and YouTube comments and whatnot. Everybody's saying Drew Pine sucks. Where were they?
He had one bad game. He had a bad
Yeah,
game, but
it's one bad game. And everybody's saying, oh, he's terrible. He sucks. Well, you weren't saying that the previous 2 weeks when he was lighting it up against North Carolina and doing pretty damn good against BYU, throwing for, I think, 4 touchdowns in one game, 3 in the other. I think coming into Stanford, he had like 9 passing touchdowns. And
he was up for the Maxwell Award watch list after last week, which is the best quarterback in college football.
Yeah. And everybody wants to turn on him now after one bad game and say he sucks. And
I don't think he sucks. I think it was more of like what we talked about last week when you asked me, does Pine, you think Pine is the guy for the future? And I said, I don't think so. And the thing is that I think it's just more, if Pine has an off game, you have a lot. I mean, when I mean a lot, I mean a lot of less room for error than if you had like an elite quarterback, say like a Hendon Hooker for Tennessee. Pine is not Hendon Hooker. And for Notre Dame fans to expect this guy, who was a 4-star recruit, he was kind of highly touted, but not really, to be that every week, you got to understand that where this kid's limitations is talent-wise.
Well,
he's a good quarterback, but he's not elite. He's not.
He's not elite. And also what I hear a lot of is people complaining about his height because in the pocket, he throws a lot of passes that get batted down at the line. Well, that's where it comes back to
coaching,
the offensive play calling. Why not run some plays where you get him out of the pocket, which is what I've been saying for a long time now. Play up to a player's strengths, not his weaknesses. Okay, Doug Flutie. I'm not going to say he's a legendary quarterback, but he had a pretty good career. He was a short guy, but
Russell Wilson, as a Broncos fan, Russell Wilson. Yeah.
And you know why those guys have success? Because their coaches play up to their strengths. I mean, like I said, Doug Flutie, he was like, I don't even know if he was 6 foot.
Look at Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray in Oklahoma. He was like one of the shortest dudes to ever play. I think he was shorter than Doug Flutie. And he won a Heisman.
But that's even more to add on to my point is with quarterbacks who are short, you play to their strengths. You get them out of the pocket. You have them go on maybe a lot more bootlegs, which I was going to say shotgun, but Pine lines up a lot out of the shotgun anyway in the pistol. But yeah, I just, it's like, who cares about his height? That's what I'm getting at. Who cares about his height? He has the tools to get the job done. But again, he's not elite, but he can work.
And what message does it send to these cute, people ask all the time, why doesn't Notre Dame get any elite quarterback recruits? Maybe because anytime a quarterback has one bad game or one bad throw, our fans dog all over him on Twitter or on social media, and recruits can see that. People were talking crap about Buckner for losing on the road at Ohio State. Not many quarterbacks can go in and win at Ohio State.
Yeah, that's a hard feat to ask out of anybody. And to everybody watching right now, just especially those of you who are new, we do see your comments, and we will answer and respond to those comments. But we're just going to talk about the situation as it is at Notre Dame for a few minutes here. But I'm glad, Ryan, that you brought that up, because in the comment section too, I can't remember if it was my rant video or if it was the recap, but one guy pointed out, and let's see, I think I have it right. I can bring it up real quick. I thought it was really good, and it beckons repeating. Where is it? Okay, yeah, it's from it was from a gentleman who calls himself Robert Scherer.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he says. A conversation for another time. Ideas to make Notre Dame Stadium a place teams fear. Nobody fears coming to play in South Bend, and that's what I've been saying for a long time now. Our fan base has to make some changes too. There's a toxic element, which I've mentioned numerous times. You know that it's there, but one thing that I've heard from people who were at the game on this past Saturday is
it was quiet.
It was quiet. It was quiet. It was basically the cheese and wine crowd. The down in front people were there. One guy said that he actually had a woman put her hand on his shoulder, telling him to sit down. This is the problem. This is what the Notre Dame fan base, not all of them, this is what it's turned into. Now, Notre Dame Stadium, back in the day when that stadium used to only hold 50,000 people, that was a loud place. And you would think with renovations, adding 30,000 more people in there, that it'd be even louder. No,
they even added the whole after the third quarter, the light show. They added that to add some, mystique to it, which we stole from Georgia. But I mean, I've always thought that about Notre Dame Stadium, that growing up, like going to see a stadium when Notre Dame's good and we're winning and it's a close game, that crowd is one of the best crowds in college football. But when something goes bad, everybody shuts up. And then you see, like, my buddy who's a Virginia Tech fan. Virginia Tech is god-awful. Might be one of the worst teams in college football this year. And guess what? They were playing Miami at home. They have nothing to play for. They're probably not even going to make a bowl game. Guess how loud that crowd was?
Extremely.
Exactly. They were down 20-0, and still you could barely hear the announcers over the stadium.
It is really sad what the atmosphere for that stadium has become. And there's no excuse for it. I mean,
I do understand.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're not going to go into that stadium and cheer your hearts out and make some noise, and what the hell are you going in for? I mean, just sell your ticket to another fan who does have the passion, who does have the noise. I mean, it's going into Notre Dame Stadium now is literally like going into a wine tasting convention. Hence the cheese and wine crowd comment. It's a joke.
I do understand why. I do understand why the crowd was a little quiet. I'm not sure if you watch him, but John over at Always Irish, I watch his stuff all the time. He said that, he's not going to dog on the fans too much just for this game, because he also thinks that the team has to give fans something to cheer about. They have to play well. They can't go 3 and out, punt the ball, and then let Stanford immediately drive down the field. That sucks the life out of the stadium. That'll suck the life out of any stadium you go to.
Yeah, when you're not playing. Well, hang on one sec. My cat wants to get out.
I mean, look at Ohio State. When we played Ohio State week 1, think about how loud that crowd was. The first drive, first snap, and Buckner hit Styles for an 80-yard gain. Think about how quiet that stadium went right after that play.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's a little bit of both. The fans need to be energetic, but I also think on the other side of the coin, Notre Dame fans have been energetic. They were energetic for Marshall most of that game. They were energetic against Ohio State, the ones that were there. They were energetic at versus BYU. I just think that also on the other side, you got to give the football team some slack because I think they also got to give the fans something to cheer about and be happy about.
I agree. When the product isn't when the product on the field isn't functioning well, then yeah, the people have a right to get angry. They're not. What is there to cheer about? I get that. I get that.
People were
The only time I will never listen to that crap is when people sell their tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one thing I heard too. Like when half our fans sold their tickets to the Georgia fans that came up to South Bend.
75% of our fans sold their tickets to Cincinnati when they came up.
Well, that stadium wasn't 75% Cincinnati.
It looked like it. There was a lot of red.
It wasn't that bad. But the Georgia game in 2017, that was horrendous. That was horrendous.
That was a Georgia home game right there.
And one of the excuses I heard was, well, we're coming off a losing season. The team has to prove something to me. No, if you're a fan, you go out there and you support them. You go to the game, you get loud, you cheer their hearts out. Or you cheer your hearts out. You don't sell your tickets just to make a quick buck because you're a greedy bastard.
The excuses I heard, because I got mad at some family members that get season tickets all the time because they work at the university and all that stuff. And I got mad at my mom's cousin. He was the head swim coach at Notre Dame for multiple years and just retired recently.
Okay.
And he sold, when Cincinnati came to town last year, he sold all 4 of his season tickets to Cincinnati fans. And I got mad. I was like, dude, why would you do that? Why not just give me the tickets? And he's like, well, because a lot of season ticket holders are selling their stuff now to Cincinnati fans because Cincinnati fans are willing to pay twice as much as Notre Dame fans for our tickets. I said, you know why? Because they actually care about going to the game and seeing their team win. I understand that, Cincinnati's not used to being on that stage and that their fans might be willing to go overboard, but it's just, if we're playing, like when we play Clemson on November 5th, if I had tickets, say I had 16 tickets for like all my family or whatever, and I had Clemson fans come up to me and say, hey, those tickets say they're going for 300 a piece. We'll give you 600 a piece for each. I would say, I would like to politely decline because I'm going to give these to fans of this actual team.
Yeah. And
that's a lot of money, but still.
Why can't you sell to fans of your own fan base? Why does it have to be of the other team?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if your reason is money, well then, all I'll say is this: one of the things that I heard, and nobody better say it to me here, is, oh, what if somebody had to pay their rent, or if they had to get groceries?
Why are you paying for season tickets? Why are you buying tickets?
Shut the hell up. Okay, if you had a ticket to that Georgia game before the game was played, you're not struggling financially. You're not trying to make ends meet.
Exactly.
It was, I mean, never anywhere else, at least with a Power 5 program, that doesn't happen anywhere else except us. And the problem is, and I'm not saying that our fans should just start throwing beer cans or beer bottles at the opposing fans when they come here, but we're too welcoming.
I've heard USC. I have a USC buddy and I have a Clemson buddy. They were at the Clemson game in 2020, and one of them was at the USC game a couple years ago. And I said, what do you guys think about Notre Dame fans? He said, you guys are very toxic on social media, but surprisingly, when we came to your stadium, you guys are very welcoming and nice. Those are our rivals. I don't know if you've ever been to the Big House, Sean, but my family has. And Michigan fans, when Notre Dame fans come in that stadium, oh, you want to talk about, brawls in the stands, punches being thrown, beer bottles being dumped on people.
My uncle's been there once, and he had a few beer bottles thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the bottom line is, I'm not saying treat the opposing fans like crap or anything, but you have to make that a ruckus environment in that stadium, and we're not doing that. We become a fan base that cares more about making money than actually cheering for the team. So it's like,
I do
okay,
think that's the bad part of having the Subway alumni. That's the one
well,
thing that I
it's
think.
even the alumni that do it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's even the alumni themselves that do it too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been to tailgates, and I've seen guys that they've said that they're alumni. Not all of them are. Some I have to speculate on. And if they're not alumni, at the very least they're well off financially. But I see it all the time. These guys who are either alum or well off, and so let's say this is an afternoon game. I'm there tailgating or walking to campus, whatever, and I see all these alumni and these other rich guys, and they're all the same too. It seems like they're wearing the polo shirts, khaki shorts, Crocs. I know it's a stereotype here, but there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. They've been drinking since 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. They're already smashed, and they're like, well, somebody comes up and makes them an offer for their tickets. Sure, I'll take it. Well, buddy, back to the camper to drink some more beer, get more drunk. Ha ha ha. So it's like a lot of these people, they don't even give a crap about the team.
You know how many times I've heard fans say, "Why would I spend my money to go to a game in Notre Dame Stadium when I could sell my ticket for twice the amount I paid for it, and then go watch the game at the bar and get hammered?"
Yeah. So they're greedy bastards and they're alcoholics.
Exactly.
Well, and another stupid excuse that I heard too for going back to 2017 against Georgia is people were like, "Well, Sean, them coming up to South Bend was a once in a lifetime trip for them." I'm like, "Oh, so what? That means you have to just let them take over the stadium and basically hug them and kiss them with welcome them with open arms." I was trying to think of the right terminology, a right way to describe it. So don't anybody get the wrong idea about that. Like, okay, well, us going down to Athens 2 years later was a once in a lifetime experience for us.
And they sold out. They had mostly Georgia fans there.
Did you know the only place you saw Notre Dame fans in that stadium was in the away section for the tickets that they allowed to the visiting team?
Mm-hmm. They were all the way up in the nosebleeds.
They were other than that, they didn't do that. They didn't sell out their team like that, and they were loud. I was there. I wasn't able to get into the stadium, but it was loud outside Sanford. I mean, that place was rocking with with Georgia fans getting rowdy. It was crazy. But that just, again, why does that happen with us and nowhere else? I mean, and it's not even just in the stadium with the cheese and wine crowd. It's off the stadium too. And like you said earlier with your USC friend who said that they're how do you describe it? They're toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic online, friendly in person. Well, selling your tickets to big games that come to South Bend, that's one thing. But then
I don't think you have a right to talk crap about the team on social media if you're selling your tickets. I really don't.
No.
You really have no say.
No, you don't, in my opinion. But it's not just that. It's also our fans actually complain about making the playoffs. I mean, there was a video that went viral of this woman who was watching the selection show when we made the Rose Bowl against Alabama, and she was all huffing and puffing and whatnot. And all these people are like, that's when the realists start coming. I'm a realist. We're going to get killed, blah, 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 blah. Well, let me just say this. If you make the playoffs, do you think it's going to be easy? Do you think you're going to get like a Coastal Carolina to play or something like that?
And you know what I don't understand is I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but
yeah,
people give us crap for getting blown out in the playoff. What about Oklahoma?
I've said it many times before.
What about Oklahoma? Example. What about Cincinnati last year? What about Clemson that got blanked one year by Alabama? What about Ohio State? They got beat 31-0 in a playoff game by Clemson.
Michigan State got killed one year.
Exactly. It's not just Notre Dame, but people want to poop on Notre Dame because it's Notre Dame. But Oklahoma gets a pass for getting 73 points dropped on them in a playoff game.
It all goes back to and this is just a fact. I mean, we haven't had a national title since '88. We haven't had a Heisman winner since the year before that in '87. We haven't won a NY6/BCS bowl game since the '94 Cotton Bowl. And I get that. You know, those numbers explain that. You're not going to hear me argue that. It has been a long time since any of that stuff has happened. But I think a lot of it is people hoping that since we got into a period of being irrelevant, that we would stay there. And they hated it that we came back to relevancy. But the funny thing is with a lot of our fans in that same conversation, you know, things do get turned around. No, we didn't reach the promised land, but things were looking really good, winning 10 plus games a year, at least getting to the playoffs and major bowl game appearances. And even though it didn't happen, we're still getting there. And I guarantee, and the thing is, with a lot of our people in our fan base or this toxic element, nothing's ever good enough for them. And even if we did win a national championship, nothing would still be good enough for them. They would find something to complain about, kind of like what Georgia fans do with Stetson Bennett. I mean, like if we won a national championship, if let's say in the next few years we win a national championship, just a hypothetical, work with me here. Mm-hmm. There's going to be something that somebody complains about. And let's say Drew Pine's the quarterback when we win it. Let's just, again, hypothetical.
No, if we win a national title with Drew Pine, people will say, "Oh, well, you know, the team you played wasn't really that good, or we caught them on an off day, or blah 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 blah."
And this would be coming from our own fans.
Yep.
Or if he had a good game, they'd say, "Oh, well, he only threw 3 touchdown passes when he should have thrown 4." And they'd say, look at all the weapons he had around and blah, blah, blah. That's what Georgia fans do with Stetson Bennett. They say they don't give him any credit. They just say, well, if he didn't have this or that, I'm like, that's the point of building a football team. You give your quarterback weapons to work with. Man. You build up a good defense so it takes the pressure off the offense. I don't get these stupid ass people that don't get that.
Can we also talk?
It's same as the people who want Marcus Freeman fired after half a season. It's like, shut the hell up and give the guy a chance. More than just half a season. Go ahead. You were going to ask me something.
No, let me ask you this, because I've seen this on the message boards I'm on. Why do you think ESPN and like other national media aren't ripping Notre Dame as much as they have in the past? Because I've seen that from a lot of our fans that are like, "Oh, I'm surprised ESPN's not poo-pooing all over Notre Dame like they do usually every single year. Like, nothing has been said about us losing to Marshall or losing to Stanford. I mean, there's not really been much talked about it, and usually you expect ESPN to get all over that. I'm surprised that they haven't."
I have a few theories, but I don't know if I can really say them here on the show.
Well, I guess just kind of your basis.
Well, put it this way, and I hate this, and I think this is actually despicable. And anybody who makes another post about this again on any of our videos or even a live stream here, gone instantly, because I hate it. But people are saying that Marcus Freeman was nothing but a PC hire.
A player's coach?
No, politically correct.
Oh, okay.
Going that route. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd rather not get into it because I see him as a person. I see him as a coach who has quite the resume leading up to his opportunity to be the head coach here at Notre Dame. Because you look at Marcus Freeman's track record. Everywhere he's been, he's had success. It's always been like defensive coordinator or a linebackers coach or certain position, whatever. Mostly those two. And all those programs that he's worked with, he's turned them around.
Mm-hmm. Cincinnati was a borderline 6-6 team every year. He got there as a DC and started recruiting. You want to know who the first two players he recruited to Cincinnati were?
Who was that?
Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant. Both of whom were 3 stars and weren't heavily recruited. But they said Marcus Freeman was one of the few coaches that believed in them and saw their talent. And guess what? He developed both of them into first-round talent cornerbacks.
Yes, I remember Brian's name being called, and so yeah, that says all you need to know about Marcus Freeman. And because you got the people saying he's over his head, he's this, he's that.
He's over his head. He's got the number 3 recruiting class in the country for next year, even though we're losing.
Well, I'm talking about because we're 3-3.
The product on the field, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking because of the product on the field. We had one guy say that those kind of records are never acceptable at Notre Dame. Never.
Well, Brian Kelly went 4-5, started out 4-5 in his first year. Guess what? Lou Holtz, who everybody thinks is one of the best Notre Dame coaches of all time, and there's a statue of him outside Notre Dame Stadium. You want to give me a guess of what his first year was?
I know what it was.
Exactly.
He was 5-6. He was 5-6 his first season at Notre Dame. But this guy that I was going to quote said the same thing to me. I said, he said that this kind of record at Notre Dame is never acceptable. You don't go to Notre Dame to learn how to be a head coach. All coaches had to have a first gig somewhere, and Marcus Freeman, his happens to be at Notre Dame. Now I know a lot of people would probably like him to go get a learning job at a Mac
school. Bowling
school.
Green or something like that.
Yeah, a Mac school or Conference USA or whatever. But he's been in the FBS level for so long. Like even at Notre Dame, there's going to be some learning curves.
But you know what? It doesn't matter.
But even established coaches, as we saw, like you mentioned with Brian Kelly, he came in and it took him 3 years. 3 years before, well, 2 years of two underachieving seasons, and then 2012 they went to the national title game. But everyone was patient with him for the most part. Why can't they be patient with Freeman?
You know why? Because their Notre Dame fans think that they're not Notre Dame fans. Some of our fan base, I should reword that because I don't want to offend anybody.
I think most people know who we're talking about by now.
But those fans are so delusional that they think Notre Dame should be 12-0 national title champions every single year. If they're not that, then they don't really care about the team and don't want to pay attention to it, and then just complain about it. But either way, people want to say, "Oh, Notre Dame run," and I see it all over the message boards, and it pisses me off because you see these old ass men that are probably in their 60s or 70s sitting here saying, "Oh, Notre Dame should rushed into this. Marcus Freeman looks like he's in over his head. They should have hired Luke Fickell. If we had Luke Fickell right now, we'd be 6-0." I said, I literally put a thread in the message board, and I said, for everyone who's getting on Freeman right now, I said, you can criticize the team, you can have thoughts and be upset with how the team's performing, but to fire a coach after 6 games when those same people were praising Marcus Freeman for beating UNC and BYU and shut the hell up, and now they're only back saying fire Freeman anytime he loses a game. Like, you guys aren't real fans. And I said this in the post. I said when Notre Dame gets it turned around, when we get our recruits in that Freeman is recruiting right now, and all that work comes to fruition, and Notre Dame is winning national titles or competing for college football playoff wins, I don't want to hear anything from those fans about how good of a coach Marcus Freeman was, or how great Notre Dame is, or how they're happy we won a national title for the first time since 1988, because those people don't deserve that.
I don't like fraud.
Yeah, you don't get to just poop on our team, talk trash about the players, talk trash about the coaches, and then when stuff is starting to go good, you want to come back and say that you've been here from the start.
Well, I'm waiting for someone to I was expecting someone to show up in the comment section tonight and say, well, Sean, look at the rant you went on Saturday night after the Stanford game, saying that you're embarrassed to be a Notre Dame fan and that this was a piss poor display. I wasn't turning on the team. I was just saying, telling it for as it is. They played a crap performance on Saturday night. I was ashamed to be a Notre Dame fan in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Never once did I say I was ever going to quit being a Notre Dame fan. But it's equivalent to a parent being disappointed in their child. That's what it is. I'm never going to stop loving the Irish. But if they're playing like shit, I'm going to tell the truth.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a difference between being a fan of a team and being disappointed with the product on the field than completely turning on the team, saying fire everybody, talking crap and sending threats to these 18 to 22-year-old kids on Twitter and acting like you know better or you know everything.
And I'd like to think that I'm pretty reasonable when I go on a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that's the thing. Even though these are kids, and I get that, but even they need to learn criticism too.
Yeah,
and
I think it's okay to criticize players. I think that's completely fine. But the stuff I've seen, for instance, one of our prized recruits in next year's class, seen on Twitter because we had fans that were publicly going on Twitter and DMing Drew Pine and sending death threats.
All right, that's garbage.
And the mothers of our recruits that are committed did like a whole post saying, I support my son's decision to go to Notre Dame and to play football, and we love Notre Dame and everything that Marcus Freeman stands for. But to see how your guys' fan base acts when you guys lose a game, no wonder kids decommit. And, Notre Dame fans immediately started going into apologetic mode saying, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. That's not me. And then you go on that person's feed and they're all talking. And I'm like, see, this is the reason. This is why we don't get elite players, because you guys turn on them in a second and then send death threats. You think a 17-year-old kid's going to see that and go, yeah, that's the school I want to go play for.
No.
Put my body on the line.
If you want to say a guy played like shit, say he played like shit. And it showed. Drew Pine did play like shit on Saturday. But when you're getting to the point of sending death threats, and you got to seriously evaluate yourself. Not just as a sports fan, but as a person, because there might be something a little loopy going on upstairs. But you know what? Even though Drew Pine played like shit, and I said so,
we still love him.
I'm going to have his back.
Exactly.
I'm going to have his back. This is a kid that's stepped into a tough situation right now. Your starter gets hurt. He's now the man. And he had a rough start at Cal, played very well in the 2 games after that, then had a bad game against Stanford. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3.5. Yeah, 4 games. 4 games that he's played as a starter. 4 games as a starter. You mean to tell me you can get that you're going to get everything out of him in 4 games? No, he's got to learn. So I don't know. You want to get to some comments and questions? Unless you had something you wanted to add.
I did want to bring up really quick before we go ahead and do that.
Go ahead.
Jeremiah Love committing.
Yes. I know we were eventually going to get to that.
Big one.
That's a big home run for
number 5 running back in his class, and actually the highest ranked Notre Dame running back recruit since, you want to say who? Take a guess.
Josh Adams.
Yes, sir.
That was a guess. Sir. That was a guess.
And then guess who before him? Jerome Bettis.
Yes. Okay.
So.
And speaking of which, Audric Estime is like watching Jerome Bettis all over again when he's played. So let's get to the comments and questions here. The first ones are just a few of you guys saying, "What's up?" I did want to show this one. Notre Dame 2164 says, "Love the old Hulk Hogan theme." I don't know if you recognize Real American.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see, I know you're only 22, right?
Yep.
So that's a little before your time.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Hell, Hulk Hogan was before my time, but I essentially grew up with him. 2164 says, "I'm still in denial about the Stanford game. It was shocking. What more is there to say?" Golden Playbook, he has a lot of comments here. I think Tommy needs to be fired
Yep.
after the season, because that's the thing too. My rant I was getting on Tommy Rees, but that also shows that he's and I even said this in our recap. He's had 3 years to prove himself. 1 as a quarterbacks coach, 2 as offensive coordinator, and it's not working.
I don't get what, because a lot of NFL people say he's the next, great mind and, offensive coaching. Maybe me and other Notre Dame fans are just blind, and we're not watching the same football that these NFL people are watching. But I don't understand why Notre Dame can't go get a high octane offensive coordinator that TCU and UCF and all these other schools can go get guys that know how to run a explosive offense.
Well, we know money can never be the factor. This is Notre Dame. It's a rich school.
Exactly.
Unless the guy just doesn't want to come there. That's another story too. Let's see. Golden Playbook says, I heard Tommy's going to the NFL. Then underneath him, Notre Dame 2164 says, Tommy is trying to show how smart he is to the NFL with these overcomplicated schemes that put too much on the kids. He isn't worried about Notre Dame winning and losing. Exactly. I think that's what a lot of it is too. But mostly on my end, it's thinking it's him. I think in a way, kind of trying to stick it to us, the fans, saying, "Hey, I'm coaching here. You're not. I know better than you do." But
you
that's
think he knows more than David Cutcliffe, evidently.
Yeah. Do you think this performance that he's showing as a play caller in college, that's another thing too? Do you think that's going to get him to the NFL?
Evidently, NFL people still think he's the next Kellen Moore, but I don't know, man.
If you can't show it in college, what makes you think you're going to show it in the NFL?
One guy I'd like to see us go after is the Kansas OC. He's a little bit older guy. Everywhere. I mean, he was at with Lance Leipold at Wisconsin Whitewater, where they won 11 national championships at the D3 level. A lot of people rave about him as like this, really explosive offense, and look what he turned Kansas into.
Yeah,
you think
Kansas
he's working with a lot?
Winning.
Yeah, exactly. So, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, if you can go to a place like Kansas and do that, then you've got it made. This is a good question from 2164. Why do we only run a gap? Could we get a couple off tackle run? Yes, I would love to see
That's
that.
Another thing I don't understand is it seems like we're stuck running straight into the teeth of a defense. And you remember when we had Kyron Williams, we would run those stretch plays, and some of those would turn into our biggest plays of the game a lot of times.
North Carolina last year. That was one of the prettiest runs I've ever seen, and that was crazy.
He had to work for it.
He should have been tackled for like a 5-yard loss.
I was there for that game, and that was a beautiful play.
I should have been there with my girl, but that's another story, and for off camera. From Dwayne Roll Tide Roll, a longtime viewer of ours, Alabama has been plagued by penalties all season. We set a new record versus Tennessee with 17. We keep shooting ourselves in the foot. Yeah, Dwayne, I watched that game, and that was pretty rough. Alabama had a couple close calls before then, but I think you guys will bounce back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dwayne, but I think Sean can agree. When Alabama loses, the world wins. I know you probably hear that a lot, Dwayne, but it's like the same thing with Ohio State or Clemson. So, but hey, speaking of Alabama, really quick, just like we've said before, I know we got some newer guys in here. If you guys like college football content, college football podcast, pick'ems, week 6, like reviews and previews of the next week. I do my podcast with my boys over at Week 0 Productions every Thursday at 3 p.m. CST. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, subscribe. Week 0 Productions on YouTube. We just did our episode earlier today. Had a blast. And for Dwayne, we did pick the Alabama game this week. So if you want to go tune into that, check it out.
Yes, go check out Ryan's channel over at Week 0 Productions. They have some good stuff on there, and I don't know if it's just you that works on them, but you guys have one heck of a talent at putting together highlights.
That's all me.
That's all you? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if anybody helped you or
Oh
anything.
no, man! It's a one man wrecking crew. The other two guys, they work full time jobs, and one of them just had a newborn, so it's all on me. Sometimes the
Well,
videos come out at 11 o'clock at night because I'm doing them all I can. But
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've worked on some highlight reels myself, and they are definitely a labor of love. Because when you go through all that and cutting and trimming and whatnot, it's the finished product is so worth it.
it's been a little kind of unmotivating recently because I went from a couple weeks ago. I had almost 1,000 views on my highlights, and now back down to 19 or 36. So, if like I said, if you guys get in the comments, love highlight videos. I do a best of every week. So, like to this week, I did best of week 6 for NFL and best of week 7 for college football. So, if you guys like that type of stuff, like I said, go check it out on Week Zero Productions on YouTube.
Exactly. Make sure and go do that, folks. Give Ryan and his team some love here. There's no excuse if the Irish lose to UNLV. I agree. Notre Dame 2164 says, I'm so surprised that a Nick Saban coach team is so penalty prone. Dwayne could tell you better than I can, but Alabama does have a lot of young guys this year. Mm-hmm. So it does, even for a top team like Alabama or anywhere across the board. It's when you're getting to the collegiate level, it's an adjustment from high school.
Also, give Tennessee some credit. Tennessee is really, really good this year, and I'm sure Big Ball Daddy.
Oh yes,
he's singing Rocky Top still to this day.
Well, all I know is if there was, and this is not a knock on Alabama, Dwayne, if you're still listening, but if there was anybody that deserved a fan feel-good moment and to get a big win like that, it was definitely Big Ball Daddy with all the stuff that he's gone through this year with his health. And I'm sure you noticed this too, Ryan, but he had to have his right leg amputated.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it was his left, I'm not sure. But anyway, he had a leg amputated, and then he had to have emergency surgery after that, and it's been rough. But to see the Vols pull this one out for him, I was thinking of nothing but him that whole time.
It was cool seeing them take down the goalpost. I hope Big Ball Daddy, we can get him a piece of that goalpost wherever the hell it is and just saw it off and give him a little piece.
Oh, they should.
I know they do that sometimes.
Hey, come on! I know Vol Nation. All of Vol Nation knows about BVD. I know they do. Everybody should band together and do something for them, like a signed ball by the team or something. Yeah. Moving on with the comments. Jon Snow's back surgeon. I don't get that reference. Do you?
I don't either.
From a show or something? I don't know. Sometimes we forget that these are 18 to 23-year-olds. He corrected that below. I got to show this part. 23 years old. I've been drinking. hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, man. I actually got a few bottles of whiskey over here. Been trying to build a whiskey collection. But he says they're 18 to 23-year-olds and they will just have bad weeks. And he's right. That's true. Joe Lynch says, Sean, your rant the other day was great. We love the whole idea of Notre Dame football, but that game was hideous. Yes, it was. And I'm not just shitting on my team and saying F them, forget about them. No, I'm pissed off about that particular moment and that particular game, but I will never turn my back on this team. I love this team too much. I put 36 years into this team.
Hey, think about it this way, Sean. I've dealt with the Broncos' ineptitude on offense since Peyton Manning retired. I've dealt with it the last 8 years. You think I've given up? I still watch the damn games. I'm just numb to it at this point.
I'm a Bears fan.
So you understand my pain. You understand.
Then Golden Playbook here has a few comments. He says, I ran as well. The truth is the truth. It's a coaching problem. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Definitely a big part of it. I know it comes down to execution, but this is where I did get on Marcus Freeman a little bit. He's got it when things go wrong. He's got to stop saying we didn't execute. Well, it's 6 games in. You got to start executing. And that, of course, that's on the players.
That's what he
Absolutely.
says. That's what he said after every loss this year is we didn't execute.
And so you kind of got to go back and see and reevaluate things. You can't keep saying we didn't execute.
He said execute, I believe, 26 times.
So that's got to change, Coach Freeman. It's got to change. 2164 says the fans were like, "Here we go again." Yet we covered that earlier with the product on the field and fans getting tired of it, and rightfully so on that. Golden Playbook says, "I don't know if they're practicing enough. If they're losing to Stanford, they had every chance to score in the first half. It's pitiful that they scored in the third quarter, that it took them that long." I agree.
Especially against a Stanford defense that was giving up hundreds and hundreds of yards in the first half to every team they played.
We, on average, our offensive line outweighed their defensive line by 55 pounds. There's no excuse. John Snow's back surgeon. The thing about the UGA game was that tickets were going for 15. So what? I'm not trying to crap on you, dude, but so what if they were going for 1,500? It's your choice as a fan who you sell them to. And so if you're a Notre Dame fan, why can't you just sell them to other Notre Dame fans? Because again, if you had a ticket to that Georgia game in 2017, you're not struggling financially. Drunk Vigo, he's been on here before, and he's a character. Tommy Reese is a genius.
Boy Wonder. That's what we call him over here.
He's got more to follow. Yeah, boy Wonder. Golden Playbook said what I said earlier. Tommy isn't experienced, so I don't know how and why he would go to the NFL exactly. Drunk Vigo again. Did you guys know that Tommy Reese? You could have fooled me. Maybe he is.
Oh man,
the greatest genius that ever lived.
Great point.
John Snow's back. Great point. I'm not sure if he's talking about the ticket thing or Drunk Vigo. I don't know. He says it's because Notre Dame alumni and current students are cucks.
Again, this isn't a family channel, is it, Sean?
No. Well, cuck isn't necessarily a bad term. It's just to describe someone, usually a guy who submits to a lady, not necessarily in a sexual way. It's like he just doesn't stand up for himself.
Oh man.
So it's not like there's some weird sexual fetish going on. A cuck
see, drunk Vigo, you would fit in over at the Weeks Era podcast, man. That's the type of stuff that we love over on our channel.
Low T cucks.
Like for instance, I'll just say this. So, my boy Lucas, he's one of the guys on the show. He just had a daughter. And he named her Tennessee. And so he got a Tennessee hoodie a couple of days before the game. And and he's a big Hendon Hooker fan, even though he's an Oregon fan. Right. He just likes him as a player. And he said he always refers to Hendon Hooker as his favorite hooker. So...
there's a few new dirty jokes I want to tell on here, but I don't want to go that far. Then we got several more from Golden Playbook here, trying to move on past the cuck talk. I just don't think he's doing enough. I think this is this is in regards to Tommy Reese. I just don't think he's doing enough. He's not preparing his offense good enough. He's not getting the best quarterbacks. Marcus Freeman needs to tell him that they're going to do it his way. I know it goes back to what I'm saying. Just because Tommy is a former Notre Dame quarterback does not mean he's above anyone else as far as coaching goes. He needs to be put in his place and like, hey, we got to change things up. No ifs, ands, or buts. He also says, I think Tommy is doing it the Brian Kelly way. He still has Brian Kelly stuck in his head still. One thing that Brian Kelly did that I did like is that he won games. He just wasn't a big recruiter. That's the only problem with him. He wasn't a national championship coach. Fair point. And I've heard this plenty of times. We get this every time they faced an elite team like Ohio State, they would get blown out. Every time, that's my only problem with him. Well, we had a few games. I mean, we even though people don't count this because what's his name wasn't playing for Clemson.
We beat Clemson, and then the
Yeah.
2 games against Georgia, we lost. We lost the first game in 2017. We lost on the last second touchdown by Georgia, and then the last.
Well, actually, no, it was a fumble. We
I'm
were
talking about
down.
the one where he hit the guy on the back of the end zone, where it was like an amazing catch for Georgia.
Well, I don't
That
know.
was like with a minute left, I think.
But I'm saying we were still driving at the end of the game, and we fumbled away. We had a missed block, and what you call it? Wimbush got sacked and fumbled the ball, and Georgia got it back.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But we had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people also forget
Oklahoma.
BK. Brian Kelly actually has a losing record against top 25 teams. I know what we think that he's a great coach and all. He just was good against teams that we should beat, like a Marshall or like a Ball State. But he was not good against ranked teams.
No, but he did have some good ones. We did beat Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why I couldn't think of Trevor Lawrence's name. I know people don't count that because Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing and DJ Uyagale or Ugagale was playing. DJ, we'll just say that. But even DJ still had a
he threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. And so there was that one, and then he beat Oklahoma in 2012 at Norman, which is no easy task.
And also, people forget that Clemson still had Travis Etienne, who was the best running back in college football, and we remember the great strip fumble that Owusu had on him and ripped it out of his hands and took it for a touchdown. I miss Owusu, man. That was he is still one of my favorite Notre Dame players of all time.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
I wish he would have got more playing time. He only played 1 year, started.
Yeah. JF Priest says, if Kelly was coaching the Irish this year, what would their record be? Oh, geez.
You want me to go ahead first, Sean?
I think I'll say we very well could be 5-1 right now. At worst, 4-2.
I probably agree with that. I'd say 4-2. Not because I think, I just think that we still would have lost. Now, I don't think we lose to Marshall, but I still would have thought because of how bad our wide receivers are and, Brian Kelly having to go to Pine after the whole Buckner injury. We're assuming everything still plays out the same, that Buckner gets injured and he has Pine. I think we go 4-2. But I think the biggest difference is that we get blown out by Ohio State. Because I don't think Brian Kelly would have had the team mentally ready to go on the road at Ohio State.
Well, I think Marcus Freeman still would have been the defensive coordinator, though. So it could have been the same result. But you got a good point there. The next comment, back to Golden Playbook. This is him talking to Jay Priest. He thinks the same. I think they would lose 2 or 1, but win the rest. They would have beat Marshall and would have beat Stanford. So it makes sense. I think that second loss in that case probably would have likely came to a North Carolina or a BYU.
Yeah.
JF Priest says that seems to be the consensus, but beating anyone on a regular basis with a backup quarterback is tough. Thank you, somebody who's rational. Not saying that you guys aren't all rational, but I'm talking about.
You ever maybe think also, because we've seen this in college football. You know what a perfect example is, Sean? Kansas. They played TCU, who just is the number 8 team in the country right now. They lost their Heisman caliber quarterback in Jalen Daniels. Their backup, Jason Bean, comes out and throws for 4 touchdown passes and almost 400 yards passing. Plays amazing in a losing effort, right? They lost a close game at home to a really good ranked team. Guess what happens the next week? They play Oklahoma. Guess what happens to the backup quarterback? He plays terrible. You know why? Because guess what? TCU didn't prepare for Jason Bean. They prepared for Jalen Daniels. It's the same thing with Cal or UNC. They were preparing probably for Buckner originally. They hadn't seen much of Pine. So Pine, has that advantage going into those games that, hey, they haven't seen me play. They haven't been able to scout me. That's an advantage for Notre Dame. But
Yeah.
guess what? Stanford's seeing the tape. You can tell watching that game that Stanford watched Notre Dame tape. Because you know why? Because they triple teamed Mayer every single passing play. You know why? Because every game that Notre Dame has had success in, the North Carolina BYU game, guess who was a big reason that they had success? Michael Mayer. They realized that Pine was always looking for Mayer. Every single time he dropped back, the first person he looked at was Mayer. You take away Mayer, guess what Guess what happened to Notre Dame's offense? They crumbled until they adjusted.
That's what has to be done with Drew Pine, and as far as coaching goes, he has to look for other receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to tell me that guys haven't been open.
Oh, there have been.
I've seen guys that have been open, because I know we're a young receiving core, and maybe getting separation isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world right now for them. But there have been guys wide open. But the problem is Pine has been zoned in on one guy. You can't do that. You're making it too easy for that defense. Anyway, moving on. Golden Playbook. He has a few more. I think if Tommy leaves for the NFL, or if he gets fired, the future is even brighter. Yeah. Tommy is the new Brian Kelly. I don't know if you guys notice it, but every time Tyree or someone gets the ball, they always dance. Well, making like a little like a shimmy move or something. Walter says, it was a painful game I attended. Still had a fun day with my friend in that regard. I think losses suck a little less when you're closest friends with. Yeah, that's true. Cherish every moment with your best friends, even if it's a crappy loss against a bad team. Everyone in my section heard me go, why, when Pine fumbled the ball. After the Estime fumble, I laid my face on a bleacher behind me. Imagine if I was in the front row doing that and the camera saw it. You would be a meme.
Like that Virginia fan that one year when Kaiser came out and threw his
slumped over.
Yeah. And his friends just patting him on the back.
Yeah. I don't know if I should show. Hang on. Marcus Freeman will figure it out. I trust him. Yeah, that's right. All our fan base have to give this guy a chance.
Wait till he gets his guys in.
Every head coach, in my opinion, 3 years minimum. 3 years minimum. I shouldn't show this one, but I'm going to because it's funny as hell. But I'll wait till you're looking up.
Oh, go ahead.
We are not a political channel, people, but that is funny.
Oh man,
he's not telling a lie. That's all I'll say as far as politics go. Okay, yep, we just said that. Bring back Lou Holtz. JF Priest.
He can do the newspaper trick for you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think Lou Holtz, he's done. I know you're not serious, but yeah, Lou Holtz, that's a guy who's done his part. He deserves to rest. Walter says Clemson's defensive players being out hurt Clemson more than Trevor Lawrence being out. That game showed Dabo really took care of his depth chart with tender loving care. You got to give props for exactly. I said that back then when Ben and I Ben and I weren't even together yet. Or no, we were. That was our first season. Duh. I'm thinking of the playoff game in 2018. No, we even said that back then for our preview for that game, and even afterwards that, hey, Dabo Swinney, Clemson's a recruiting machine. With all these guys out, it should be no problem having just as much talent with his backups in there. They're the future,
Mm-hmm.
Oh shoot, I skipped one. I think that the committee will keep us out of the top 25, even if we win more games. They won't look at the good stuff we have done, but always go with the negative stuff.
Well, it's also true. Hard with 9-3. We're on if we lose another game, we might not be ranked at all the rest of the season.
Yeah. And at first I thought the Golden Playbook here was talking about the NY6. I doubt there's any chance at all that we could, even if we went out and go 9-3. I don't think there's any way that we could get an NY6 bid.
We would need everybody. We would just need chaos.
Yeah, we need chaos. Look, I get it. We have Clemson coming up, who's a top 5 team. We have Syracuse, who's ranked in the top 15. We have USC right now, who's ranked in the top 15. Even if we beat all of them, I don't know if that's good enough still. But if we went out, it's looking like either the Gator Bowl or the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah. Which a lot of stuff I'm seeing is Notre Dame versus Florida in the Gator Bowl. So
why don't they just put it in Gainesville at Florida? Isn't that where they play the Gator Bowl?
I think so.
Okay. Golden Playbook says, like last season when we went 12-1 and they didn't even give us credit at all, they would say we don't deserve it, just like Paul Feinbaum.
Last season we went 11-1 and they didn't give us credit because you know why? The one team that we lost to was Cincinnati and they were undefeated and they took the 4 spot. You couldn't justify putting Notre Dame over a team that beat us. You have to go with head-to-head matchup. You know what fixes that, Sean? If you beat Cincinnati, you ain't got to worry about it.
And it was the same kind of stupid crap in that game too out of Tommy Rees. Stupid play calling, and I think losing. Walter says I think losing Jack Cohn, Kyron Williams, Kevin Austin, and Avery Davis hurt worse than it looked. Well, I would definitely say with Kyron Williams and our 2 of our stud wide receivers that did hurt.
I would say Jack Cohn as much because Cohn was a liability back there.
He was a filler. That's all. Yeah. That's all. I mean, I'm not trashing Jack Cohn because he did some good things for us, but he was obviously a filler, a bridge quarterback. Jack Snow's back surgeon says Pine just has to trust his other receivers. Exactly. Golden Playbook says it boggles my mind that when it's 3rd and long, Tommy decides to go for a run. That situations when you should. Yeah, I agree. JF Priest says, don't snicker. We didn't snicker. We straight up laughed because it was funny as hell. Walter says, hey, being turned into a meme would have made my night a little better. Or giving him the business penalty. Okay. Dwayne Roll Tide Roll says Kelly thought he could get better recruits in the SEC, but he didn't take into consideration that the SEC is a pressure cooker. They fight for each player, and a coaching job is hard. Yes, it is. Kelly may have bit off more than he bargained for. Yeah, it's like it's like a nonstop battle royale down there in the SEC. All these guys, all these high school prospects down there being fought over by team after team after. Hey, I'm not even from the South, and Dwayne, believe it or not, I get you. You don't need to be from the South to figure that one out. You are 100% right, my friend. But that's what Kelly thought, and if he thinks he can get it done down there, more power to him. But I still hate that he's trying to be something that he's not. Like when he got introduced at LSU and he's trying to do that the Southern accent. I'm here with my family. Brian,
is it bad that I also hate the fact that he's succeeding? It makes Notre Dame losing even worse because now you got fans that were trashing all over BK, saying, "Oh, we miss Brian Kelly." I don't miss Brian Kelly at all. I really don't.
Yeah, he kind of showed his true colors.
But hey, you know what? They're going to get blown out again this week. I know they're favored by 2 against Ole Miss, but you know how Brian Kelly does in top 10 matchups.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. See if we still want him back after that. Or I'm sorry, I've been calling him Jack. I meant Jon Snow. I hope I haven't been calling you Jack by mistake. If I have, I apologize. But Jon Snow's back surgeon says, hopefully Gator Bowl so I can attend. Gator Bowl is it's in Jacksonville. Okay, all right. I didn't think it was in Gainesville, but
when was the last time Notre Dame played Florida? It's been a while, isn't it?
They've only played once, and that was in the '92 Sugar Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, that would actually. I mean, if Notre Dame goes 9-3 and plays Florida in the Gator Bowl, I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, that's two historic programs, battling it out with two first-year head coaches.
Well, yeah, and also speaking of the bowl game itself, and I'm not going to get on a tangent like I did last week, but I'd still like to hear your thoughts on the your pick for names in the sponsor only bowls, but we'll do that next week.
Okay.
We had more important things to talk about this week.
Let's hope we don't have more to talk about next week in terms of Notre Dame losing to UNLV.
I want a freaking blowout over UNLV, but I didn't predict one. I can't.
Yeah, you can't with this team. You know what though? It's funny because we were doing our show today. We were doing the pick'ems. Well, I put all the pick'ems together in the StreamYard, and I put all the spreads with all the games and everything.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I was like, was I reading this right? Notre Dame is a 27.5-point favorite. I said, and guys were laughing, and I was like, I said, Notre Dame should not be that. If anything, they shouldn't be favored that high. I said because Notre Dame hasn't beat anybody by more than what I want to say 14 points. So
the only team the thing is North Carolina. That game was a blowout.
Yeah.
A lot of their points we gave them in garbage time. But no, North Carolina was a blowout, but the score didn't reflect that. Same with BYU. We had them beat and we let them back into it.
I almost wonder though if odds makers are doing that just to like troll Notre Dame. Like, hey, you guys are
probably
27.5-point favorites. If you guys lose to UNLV, that might be one of the worst losses in Notre Dame Stadium history based on how much you're favored by.
And myself, I don't give a shit about the spreads anyway because I'm not a gambler. So, but anyway, no, the only gambler I am is a fan of the Houston Gamblers of the USFL.
See, I'm a
that's the only gambler that I am.
Hashtag Bandit Ball. I'm a Tampa Bay Bandits guy all the way.
Hey, that's good. People need to get into that league. We saw some pretty good football there, but that's another topic for another day.
So, a few Notre Dame guys in that league.
Yeah, Jerron Jones and
Tavon Coney.
Tavon Coney, yes. The kicker for
was a Notre Dame soccer kid. Yeah,
yes.
He was for the Stallions, I believe.
Okay. But anyway, I was going to finish saying with the bowl games, and I'm not just saying that, or I'm not just saying this because this is appearing to be Notre Dame's only option. I've said this long before when we didn't even have a shot at getting these bowl games, when we were going 6-6. But the Gator Bowl and the Gator Bowl and the Citrus Bowl, those are two games, in my opinion, that are of NY6 status, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Gator Bowl's been around forever, but it used to be known as the Tangerine Bowl. The Citrus Bowl, that's been around for quite a while. Those games right there are two games that I think should be in the rotation. I think make it the NY8. But anyway, Walt, the Golden Playbook says, I believe in Freeman. I know he's learning, but needs to realize that you need to tell the players what they're doing wrong instead of just getting pissed. Yeah. Kelly effed himself. He's getting fired after year 3. Very well could be the case. I met Ed Ogeron by the stadium right before the player walkout. That's cool.
Yeah, he was there.
All good. I'm sure you're assuming you're referring to the name, how I pronounce your name. Dwayne Roll Tyrol. Kelly's about to get his 3rd loss this Saturday. Is LSU playing Alabama?
No, they play Ole Miss, so it's number 7.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You did. Hell, I must be getting tired. Idiot. We were just talking about it.
Hey, Dwayne, you better watch out for them Ole Miss Rebels, man. They're coming. I know that's a big rivalry game. They're coming.
That Alabama and Tennessee game was great. I knew Tennessee was going to win.
They almost blew it. Blew it.
Yes, that was drama right down to the very last second because that game-winning field goal that got tipped.
Yeah, it was a
That looked like a drunken kick. So it had to. I'm like, that ball was tipped.
Hey
But it
man,
still went through.
speaking of Dwayne, real quick, if you can in the comments, what the hell is up with Alabama not having a field goal kicker? Like ever. Like you have the kick six. You played against Auburn in 2019, you doinked it off the upright to lose to Auburn. And it's like anytime that's a big game and it comes down to an Alabama kicker, it's just something always goes wrong.
Jack Snow's back surgeon says, 92, we blew them out, referring to the Florida Gators. Florida actually had a 16-7 lead on us at half, and then Jerome Bettis burst out for his great game. But our buddy Irv Smith, he had a real nice game too that nobody ever really talks about, the former Notre Dame tight end.
Speaking of former Notre Dame players really quick,
Yeah.
You remember Cam McDaniel, right?
Yeah.
The walk-on running back?
Oh, yeah.
He just followed me on Twitter, and me and him had a good conversation. All the Notre Dame fans in this chat, we'll be having him on the Week 0 podcast, Clemson week. So
Ben
look
and
out
I,
for that.
Ben and I had thought about reaching out to him, and maybe he might still come on if we ask him. But one thing you got to ask him is how it felt to be the heartthrob of American girls for a little bit with that picture.
We're gonna ask him about because he's named the most photogenic college football player in the history of college football.
Yeah, his helmet came off, and he's just like,
he looked so unimpressed.
Tennessee. Dwayne says Tennessee played great, but Alabama helped them out with it. Yeah, they did have a lot of penalties. I will be honest, there was a fan in front of me in my section right before kickoff playing the Tennessee-Alabama game on his phone. I said, watch the Bama kicker is going to miss in Tennessee.
I said that in my group chat with my guys that I do my show with. They were like, because they were all freaking out because they're like, oh my God, Alabama's going to escape another game again. And I said, guys, hold on, chill out. Alabama never has a good field goal kicker. They're going to miss this.
Well, and the thing is, it's not easy to kick 40-plus yard field goals. It really isn't. Golden Playbook says, Dwayne, I agree. I was shocked about Alabama. They're always great. Jack Snow's back surgeon says, yeah, any bowl played on January 1st is a solid bowl game. Well, not all of them, but like I'm talking like the old-time ones like Gator, the Citrus. Hell, you could even bring back the old Tangerine name.
Sometimes they always have that one bowl game on New Year's Day that I don't understand where it's like between 2 6-6 teams. And I'm like,
yeah,
why couldn't this have been played a week ago or a couple weeks ago?
And the thing is, I exactly they should be in the pre-January 1st games.
Bowl games.
Yes. But the Gator and Citrus, and even when they were still using the old Tangerine Bowl name, which a Tangerine, I think they should bring that name back for one of the bowls, preferably what used to be the Outback Bowl. But those are bowl games that actually have like prestige to them, like recognition, games that you actually do want to play in. It's just unfortunate they're not considered a major bowl, like the NY6 rotation, all those games. Dwayne, Roll Tide Roll, the SEC is fun to watch. Yeah, I agree it is. I can't wait until the day Notre Dame is a top 5. I just want another national title. It's been long. Yes, it has. You cannot trust an Alabama kicker with your life. 2011 regular season against LSU, 2013 against Auburn, almost did it at the end of regulation against Georgia in 2017. 2019 Auburn, 2022 Tennessee.
Well, you know what? Alabama doesn't really ever really need to recruit kickers because they're so damn good on offense. But maybe Nick Saban should start getting on the phones with some kids that can actually kick reliably.
Dwayne answered your question. We have a great kicker now. Will Riker is the best in the SEC. He can hit from 55. He just pushed it slight right. That kick would have been good from 60.
I think it's just a meme, Dwayne. I'm not trying to doo-doo all over your team. I just think it's just a meme with Alabama because there's got to be one like crack in the armor of the Crimson Tide that we can nitpick.
Well, look at the
kicker.
Well, see, what was it? The Florida State Miami rivalry or the Florida State rivalry where Florida State was missing kicks? It seemed like in the last second of the game in the early 90s. It's just, stuff like that. This is an interesting comment. I personally think you should be 7-5 to be bowl eligible. See, that's not going to work for mainly one reason. There's too many bowl games. They have to fill these slots.
I also think they want to give as many teams something to play for as possible. Otherwise, you'll just have what you see in the NFL, which is like losing on purpose. Because what's the point?
And one of the things I would definitely argue for there to be less bowl games. I think there's been a couple years where they've had a team with a losing record in there because they had
But
to
that's
fill the
because
slot.
somebody like either goes on probation or like, which I don't even LSU can't even make a bowl game this year because of they have probation right now. So I think it's just stuff like that where you typically get like a 5-7 team.
I've kind of thought like that there's too many bowl games because some of these bowl games, like I was talking about last week, and even in the past few years, they're kind of ridiculous. It's like it's too much company pushing its product than giving focus to the actual bowl game itself, which is why I'm so hell bent on that sponsor and actual bowl name thing that I always talk about. Dwayne says we had problems with kickers for a long time. We're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon, guys, just to let you know. The Golden Playbook says, I love Notre Dame. I'm a diehard fan and love them. I like the Bears, but I love Notre Dame more because I love college football more. I'm a passionate fan. I got a helmet signed by Rudy. I got a jersey signed by the real Rudy Rudiger. And the funny thing about that, the real Rudy Rudiger is not the guy you see in the movie. He's actually quite a jerk from what I hear. But then again, people talk. Who knows?
Speaking of Rudy, I love when people like are Notre Dame haters, and their first thing they say is, "Well, Rudy was offsides," and then people get all upset about that.
Well, my thing is I've been hearing that for years. Rudy was offsides. Can you not come up with a more original insult?
You know what I tell them when they say that? You know what I tell them? I say, "Well, no, it was just a false start by Georgia Tech." That's
Well, it's like every fan base says this. Rudy was offsides. Rudy was offsides. Shut up. Come up with something new as Chris Foley would say, come up with something new for the love of God.
It's like people say, well, Notre Dame hasn't been relevant since 1988 when you guys won a national title. Okay? You guys haven't been able to come up with a better insult to Notre Dame fans since whenever the Rudy moment happened.
I prefer college ball more than the NFL. Pro is just not fun for me. I got what? Yes. This is what I'm not going to tell the whole story now, but yes, when you go to a college game, there is an electric atmosphere. When you go to an NFL game, it's more like almost like a corporate atmosphere. If that makes any sense.
I think it depends on what team. Because like me being a Broncos fan, I went to Mile High a couple times, and I don't know if you've ever been. Like had any friends or anything that are Broncos fans.
No.
But Broncos fans are just like, true Notre Dame fans. They bleed blue and orange through and through. And Broncos have had consecutive sellouts the last 30 years. So that even when they suck, they always sell out. And that when you go to like a Broncos game, they have that thing where it goes to when it's third down, they have the announcer go, "It's third down." And 7 yards to go, and they do like the horse.
Slow it down.
And you hear the crowd. It is so lively. Maybe it's just me. I've never been to a Colts game, but I think it just depends on what team you root for.
Yeah, and I know with Bears fans right now, there's too many angry people.
Yeah,
there's too many angry people, and they're shitting on the team, and rightfully so, because the Bears are having the same kind of problems with Notre Dame. Our offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, he's looking like a complete tool right now. What I'll say is this: when you're playing against a garbage Redskins team, and I don't call them the Commanders, I'm not going politically correct with that crap. They're still the Redskins to me. Hold when you have the ball inside the 5 against a garbage Redskins team and you can't come away with points, there's something wrong.
Well, let me ask you this, Sean. If I said, well, I will trade you Russell Wilson for Justin Fields right now, would you take it?
I'd say
Because
no.
Russell Wilson's looked garbage right now.
I'd say no because Justin Fields, with the right guys around him, has a chance to be something. But it's Chicago management. I mean, they have been so incompetent of trying to put together a decent team. It's unreal. And I'm talking since the '85 team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sickening knowing that.
Well, Bears fans are already calling Fields a bust after it's his second year. I don't get that. He's never really had an O-line. He doesn't really have, other than what, Mooney. He doesn't really have a. Yeah, he doesn't have.
And people keep talking about our guy Cole Kmet. They're not utilizing Cole Kmet.
Mm-hmm.
But really, right now, and I'm not trashing Kmet, but yeah, as far as receivers go, and I can't count Kmet because he's not throwing to Kmet. But yeah, Darnell Mooney is the only one he has. Bayless Jones, work in progress. We'll have to wait and see on him. Equinemius St. Brown's on the team, which he's had a few nice catches. But the bottom line is it's not an elite receiving core.
See, and but I'd rather be a Bears fan right now just because I don't know if you've watched the Broncos games this season when they're on TV.
Not really, to be honest with you.
We have the worst offense in the NFL, but the number one defense in the NFL. Russell Wilson looks terrible. I feel like now the Seahawks, finessed us and sold us a faulty product because we gave them 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, and Drew Lock and Noah Fant for Russell Wilson that we also had to pay $250 million to extend him for 5 years. And this is what we get.
Did you know the Bears were trying to pursue him?
Yeah, I heard the Bears were trying to get him too.
It was almost the same kind of deal, only they were going to go 3 first-round picks.
Which I'm surprised they didn't. The Bears didn't pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, because I'm surprised they didn't too, because they're incompetent enough to make a stupid deal like that.
It's just frustrating because our defense is Super Bowl caliber. Our defense is so good. We made Justin Herbert look like dog doo-doo Monday night.
You can say shit. You can say dog shit. But I was going to finish my point real quick. In the last 30 years, the Bears have had, 40 or 50 different quarterbacks. Meanwhile, those pieces of shit up north in Green Bay have only had 2. And that's what the most frustrating part of it is. It's just like, how can our ownership and our coach, all the coaching staffs we've had, be so freaking incompetent?
The fact that the Lions are terrible, but they've got the number 1 offense in the NFL right now, numbers wise, and they got Jared freaking Goff as their quarterback. At least they have their offense figured out. It's just the defense for them. You mean to tell me the Bears can't do the same thing?
Exactly. I'll say we'll answer a couple of more comments here, and then we'll call it quits. Walter says, "I never go politically correct with the ND fight song. I like this actually. The daughters aren't scoring touchdowns on that field. I wish the players protested it when they changed the lyrics." Well, the thing is, and I'm not going to go too far into this, I'll just say this: the world of academia leans left. They're not going to protest something like that. That's all I can say.
Hey, don't tell my daughter that. My daughter, every time because she's only 4, and every day we watch the Broncos and the Notre Dame games, she always looks, "Daddy, I want to play football." I said, "You want to play football?" And she goes, "Yeah, I want to play football." And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? I can't tell her no.
Start lifting weights, kid. But should explain to her it's a rough game, especially for women. If you're trying to play against men, that is. Now, if there was ever an all-female league, I mean, that'd be, of course, that'd be suitable. She'd have even competition. Mm-hmm. Dwayne says, "Walter, I'm tired of this politically correct crap. Also destroying our history." Yes. And I don't want to turn this into a political discussion, but yeah, let's just say Dwayne and Walter are right. Walter says I feel bad for Justin Herbert because of his last name. What's wrong with Herbert?
Oh man.
Okay, you can call him Justin Herbie, Jay Herbie.
Herbie.
There you go. That's his name, Jay Herbie.
Like it's funny because the Chargers fans call him Little Herb. So.
All right, this will be our last comment for the night, and then we're going to get off here. I want to see more of Audric. He needs to be on the field just as much as the North Carolina game. I just don't get why he's not being utilized. He's being wasted. Same with Merriweather. I agree. And like we said earlier, like we talked about earlier, Ryan, Tommy Reese said, "Oh, it's because Diggs and Tyree had great games, and we were going to stick with it." No, don't change it, Tommy. Stick with what had been working. Get all those guys on the field.
Rotate them like you did in the BYU game.
Exactly. So on that note, everyone, this is supposed to be the Notre Dame football power hour, and we've gone for an hour and 45 minutes. So kind of define logic as far as math.
We can make it work. Who
gives a shit, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, Ryan, another awesome week having you on as usual. And, again, I appreciate you taking this every Thursday night to be the co-host for this show. It's always appreciated, man.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, man.
Thank you for stepping up and doing this. So, anything else you want to add before we call it quits?
No, just like I said, I know you guys are mostly Notre Dame fans with the exception of Dwayne. But like I said, if you guys love everything college football, want more college football content, you like what I got to say, or whether you want to just argue with me and to call me an idiot, completely fine with that. Like I said, if you like all that stuff, college football highlight videos, the best of each week of NFL and college football, tune into the Week Zero Productions YouTube channel, Week Zero podcast every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time. Like I said, it's 3 hours before me and Sean go live. So if any of that, you guys love, go ahead and go to Week Zero Productions on YouTube and like, comment, and subscribe. And look forward to seeing you guys there.
Go ahead and say it, Dwayne. It's your team. Be proud of them. And then we'll see about next week, maybe getting something to scroll across, like a ticker, something to scroll across the bottom, promoting your channel. I should have thought of that before, but unfortunately I didn't. So, but yeah, guys.
Oh, I think we lost Sean for a little bit. Sean, you there, buddy? Whoops. I think we're having technical difficulties. Sean? Well, oh, man. Well, let's hope Sean comes back. Oh, there he goes. I guess the camera's spotlight's right on me. But yeah, like I said, if you guys like this stuff and like what me and Sean do and everything, tune in over at Week Zero Productions. We got a lot of good content. See if we wait for Sean to come back or what's going on. Let's see. See what's going on with Sean. Well, I guess in the meantime, if you guys have any questions until Sean gets back on, he can do our outro. Go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I can answer them for you. I have my phone pulled up so I can answer anything you guys have. I just can't pull it up on the screen. But yeah, you guys have anything you want, anything else you want to say, have questions too, or whatever, just drop them in the comments, and I can see. Love when we had technical difficulties, man. Oh, let's see here. Come on, buddy. You gotta get down. All right, so I guess Sean's internet went out. But like I said, if you guys have anything you want to say, yeah, that's right. Go playbook difficulties, multiple difficulties. Oh man. So Sean should be. Oh, I think we should beat UNLV. If we don't, then I think we could see Tommy Rees get fired right now, or right after the game. To be honest with you, at least that's what I would do. So yeah, while we wait for Sean to hop back on, like I said, anybody else that has any questions, anything they want to discuss, just put it down in the comments. Yeah, like I said, I think the Stanford loss is probably worse than the Marshall loss, in my opinion, just because, like I said before, I don't know if I said it on the show, but you can kind of wrap your hand around why we lost to Marshall, with it being an emotional game against Ohio State week one, and you got a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds that you got to try to motivate to play next week against Marshall. I think that was just, it makes a lot of sense, but in terms of, losing to Stanford, it's like you almost lose brain cells trying to figure out how the hell that happened. So, but I definitely agree with that golden playbook. There we go.
Hey, what's up, guys?
It was a little awkward for a little bit there, but the golden playbook got us through it.
Hang on, I can't hear you. Yeah, guys. Sorry about that. I lost internet.
Oh, Yeah, it was a little awkward there for a minute, but like I said, the golden playbook got us through it, man.
Yeah. Now I'm just curious. Were you still on talking, or did it
Yeah, it
just?
was. Yeah, it was. I held it down the best I could.
Okay.
So, but it's golden playbook ask who do you think can throw the ball better, Drew or Buckner? Stronger arm, Buckner. A little bit more accurate, at least on shorter passes, I'd say Pine, but they're both inaccurate.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
But
all right, Sean, you want to go ahead and take us out?
yeah, I want to see all the.
the.
I just want to see all the comments I missed, and I'm sorry to all you guys who. I'm sorry for going out like that, but it was out of my control. But thankfully, phones have Wi-Fi, so you can get back.
Yep.
And my cat's wanting to nudge me here.
Yeah, my cat was just doing the same thing. He made an appearance.
This is my cat Guinness. Hey, Guinness. Guinness, say hi to everybody. He is the dad of 4 kittens that we had about 4 years ago.
Yeah, we got my boy. He got done a little bit ago. But yeah, it was a little weird because I thought for a minute there I thought you had hopped off before like ending the stream, and I was like, whoa, what am I supposed to do?
Say hi, Guinness.
He is adorable.
Yep, he when we got him, as a kitten, we knew he was going to be a snuggler.
But
he's like, I love Sean's audience. I love Ryan and Sean's audience. So I'm gonna demand attention while they're doing a show. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for this week. And so, with that said, this is Guinness on my lap. This I am ND Sean 45. You can call use your own name, Ryan.
All right.
So let's try it again. Let's try it again. So with that said, everyone, I am ND Sean 45.
And then I am Ryan, Week 0 Productions for Vel. Like I said, if you guys want any college football content, go ahead and subscribe to Week 0 Productions on YouTube.
And it's good to know that it's pronounced Fravel, because I've been pronouncing it Fravel.
Yeah, it's Fravel. It's French. So I used that with my fiance when we met. So
okay, all right, guys. Well, thank you to all of us for joining us, and as always, God bless and go Irish.
Yep, go Irish.